You know what it really comes down to? I think my level of sanity, maybe, like my basic level of, I don't know, what do you call it? It's like harmony or
homeostasis.
The balance within me, my inner peace, let's say inner peace maybe, I think is very dependent on the amount of time I have to myself and time that I have to make the things that I want to be making.
Yeah.
And when other things start to infringe upon what I really just want to be doing, my inner peace is disrupted.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And I become shitty. And I think I've kind of like a little bit lately have been feeling, I'm looking at the Prince page that I've been doing, and I've had ambitions for that I haven't been addressed. And I've got this grand vision of all these things that I wanted to do, and I had it all planned out. And I literally didn't post on it for like 2 months. And I'm just thinking, okay, I got to pivot, because if this is going to get pushed forward, this is that breadth versus depth thing we were talking about. Like I have this thing that I want to do. And if I'm going to keep the ball rolling and still do these other things, I still want to paint, I still want to read, I still want to do the podcast, I still want to post on my regular Instagram. Like, something has to give in a way. And so like what I've been feeling is, I guess just frustration with like the podcast stuff and like how much some of that has taken up, because I really just want to leverage like what we're talking about and what we're doing, and maybe like limit the rest of the design stuff that we're it's just been like a recent thing that I want to paint so bad. When I don't see the other stuff moving forward, I get frustrated. That's where it's coming from, is I have these things that I want to continue to keep the ball rolling with. I guess I'm just realizing now, like that's what like when I go on vacation with my family sometimes, or spend too much time with family, or, every once in a while, I'll get this kind of irritableness. And I'm realizing that I think the thing is how much time do I have to myself to be making the things? Damn it, dude, that's an artist. That's an artist, right? Like everybody doesn't feel like that. How crazy is it? How crazy is it to have this, to have this like sizable need for a decent chunk of time to have to yourself to do arts and crafts,
right?
And messy paint craft bullshit. That's such a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, like, does everyone have something like that though? Like everyone needs time. Like some people watch sports, some people like
the game is on.
Yeah. Is that like a video game announcer? Or like the game is on. Get in the game or something.
My dad. This is why. So there's two things that are absolute bullshit.
Okay.
And one of them is golf. And I'm saying this from a perspective of
you play golf.
Well, the one that's even more bullshit is baseball, and I'll tell you why.
I agree with this.
And it's
did you play baseball too?
I played, yeah,
well,
and I like watching
it.
And there's things that I appreciate about baseball.
Yeah.
But one of the things that's bullshit is, so my dad is like a really big baseball fan, okay? And baseball, the games are 3 hours, and the regular season is 162 fucking games, dude. So literally from April to October, I did the math. I think from those days, 17% of waking hours, the Yankees are playing baseball.
Wait, so each team has that many games?
Every team has 162 games.
Jeez, that's a lot of
And
games.
if you think about not 24 hours in a day, but you think, okay, maybe a day is like 14 or 15 or 16 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, and a baseball game is 3 hours, and a team plays 4 or 5 games a week. I did the math, and I calculated it. And from April to October, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, 17% of waking hours, the Yankees are playing baseball. So my dad has this thing where he's like, oh, but the game is on.
Yeah. 70%
the game is on. I got to watch the game. Fuck. So yeah, that's an example of, I think, one like that's not art, but is the kind of thing of like the inner peace is dependent on how much my dad's inner peace is dependent on how much he's allowed to watch the Yankees play baseball during the week.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I've heard someone phrase it in this way, like people who are creative, like Similar to the way that people who are extroverts need to be around people, or like if you're introvert, you need alone time. You know, like it's if you're a creative person and you're not creating, like part of you is like dying, is like thirsting or hungering, and like is like atrophying and in pain.
Yep.
You know, like an artist who can't create is like dying. You know,
you are.
It's like an extrovert who's like forced to be alone. You know, it's like like killing your soul.
Yeah, that's I think the best way to put it.
Yeah, but it is kind of weird because it's like, I mean, from an outside perspective, again, I love this like alien perspective, like looking in as like humans as some kind of like experiment. It's like, what the fuck are they doing? It's like this guy's alone, like he's painting on this grid with like these colors. Like, what does this mean? Like, there's no discernible meaning.
Right? Yeah. What does it mean?
Yeah. It's very weird. It's very weird that we make art.
I love taking that. The alien perspective of things.
Yeah. It's nice to I think most people spend their time in a state of thinking very first person from my vantage point, what I see, the people that I know, the interactions I've had, you know, your inner monologue, the story, narrative of your life, whatever. I think taking a third person perspective, and especially some really radically different perspectives, like kind of the alien, like looking at social interactions, even like between you and I, like, I don't know how this would be useful, but in some context, looking at just our interaction, the fact that we're talking into microphones, like there's something interesting from like an alien perspective about like, it's kind of like the cosmic perspective of like, I don't know, it has like some like simultaneously some like air of like pointing out insignificance, but also like a cute like quaintness to it, and a kind of like cuteness. It's like, look at them, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's cool things to find in that perspective. I don't know. Maybe that's escapism or something, but I think it's cool. I don't know.
So I want to touch on the thread of perspective, because I think one of the things that's been so interesting about having these conversations with you and being able to talk in this long form way we've been doing for a while is you get, and especially with you and I, we have so many similarities that you can, when you are so similar to someone, you can probably convince yourself that they see the world the same way that you do, or that because they do in a lot of ways, or that they have the same kind of lens or same kind of perspective of all these things. You kind of maybe just start to assume that they see everything the same way that you do because you see so many things the same way. And I think the things that we see, I mean, again, I was just telling a friend about the stark difference that we've been able to pinpoint so far between us is the whole thing about how we look at a painting, and my sort of affinity for seeing things as like a flat plane, and you seeing it as a three-dimensional space where, like, you know, it's a void that objects are kind of floating around in. And just that it really brings to light the idea of stepping. You really have to try to step into someone else's shoes to understand how they see the world. And I had this kind of crazy moment. I'm just going to fix this bothering me. The friend that I was telling this to, I was telling him about what I just repeated there, the difference in yours and my perspective. Oh,
I don't know if
we
that's
should fix that.
Do you want to fix that now?
Yeah. I guess
let's
we'll just cut it and then fix it. I want to put this light up. Okay. Did we ever stop recording, or did I just record?
I just left it going.
You just left it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Redacted.
We're back. We fixed the table. It fell down, then we fixed it.
Okay. So the whole difference in perspective, stepping into someone else's shoes, and I was flowing too, man. I felt like that was maybe we were finally starting. And let me just get a sip of this, and then
we'll just record for another 3-hour one.
We're going to, yeah.
We'll only use the last hour.
So, okay. So this is basically about headache. Okay, this is where I'm getting with this.
Okay.
We're going to talk about headache.
All right.
Because there's this guy in the office that I'm kind of friends with. You know, it's not Brendan, it's not Connor. It's another guy, Daniel, and Daniel's like he goes to church. He's a churchgoer. He's in like a church-going family, which like, I mean, we were too. So there's that. But I just thought that he would, for some reason, one day, and this was like a few days ago, I got excited to show him Headache.
Yeah.
You know, the first Headache album.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, it's dark out now. It's kind of moody atmosphere. And I said, you know, just throw this on your drive home, your 30-minute drive home. Just put this on. It's going to kind of open up, because he's kind of like a conservative, and I don't know, I mean, most people even haven't heard anything like Headache. I had never heard anything like Headache before. You know, it's just like this new kind of thing. So I was curious to see what it would do or how it would open the mind of somebody. And so I'm having him look it up. He's looking it up, and he's like, oh, I don't have any more service on my phone, but I can download it while we're in the office on the office Wi-Fi, so that I'm ready. It's ready to play when I. And he's looking it up, and he goes, oh, it's E.
Like explicit?
Yeah. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, it's E. Like, I don't really listen to stuff that's E.
What?
And I said, well, I said, like, you'll be fine. Like, it's not crass or inappropriate or anything.
Right.
Like, you'll be okay. Just give it a shot.
Yeah.
It won't be offensive to your ears. No. And he leaves. And I'm actually thinking, as he's going out to the car, you know, because it's like what you do on Instagram when you post something, you view it and you try to view it for the first time as if you're seeing it how other people are viewing it for the first time. You know how you try to do that? So like when you recommend something to someone, you then go to that thing that you just recommended to kind of be in their shoes and like experience it with them a little bit and try to do that. So I did that. And the first line is, have you ever woken up somewhere and wondered like where you are and why you're naked?
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
He's just going to hear that and he's just going to be out. And literally, man, actually, maybe I didn't think that whole thing through, but I did kind of be like, oh, that's the first thing he's going to hear. Interesting. And the next day or maybe 2 days later, I was like, so what'd you think? He said, oh, I only listened to the first 15 seconds. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, you know, I turned it right off. It wasn't for me.
Bro.
And I was like, you didn't even give it a chance?
Yeah.
He goes, no. He said, I'm very strict about the things that I allow into my world, and I didn't want to subject my brain to stuff that I thought might be whatever, wrong, dirty, offensive, this, that. So he completely closed it off. Mm-hmm. And I tried to find, today I was talking to him about this because I was like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. That's so interesting because I'm of the mindset of, I'm so curious about the things, maybe I'm curious about things that are taboo because I'm like, why are they taboo? What is the deal with this? Mm-hmm. And just trying to any assumption that I have of the world, I'm kind of skeptical of, and I'm always trying to challenge those assumptions. Yeah. Always. I never want to just say, okay, I'm content with this worldview that I have. Mm-hmm. I'm always trying to play devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. And so from that perspective, I couldn't understand how you could just quickly close off this thing that your friend is telling you is going to open your mind to maybe like a new person. It's like immediately like, no, I'm not going to, this is the perspective of the world that I have. But at the same time, I agree with him in the sense that I am this way with one thing I can think of, and that is horror movies. I don't do really, really scary movies that have like torture and like the Saw movies, I guess an example of something that I will never, what?
They're so bad.
Have you seen them?
Yeah. They're like, and I don't mean plot wise. I mean, I haven't seen enough of them or watched the full length enough to know the plot, but in terms of like gore and stuff, dude, they are like, it's not only gore, it's just like the visceral ways. I don't even want to describe it. It's bad. So it's like, it's really bad.
That's an example of something that obviously people enjoy it. It's got some sort of like, you know, critical acclaim in our country. And that is something that I will not subject myself to. Yeah. I draw the line. I say, I will not watch it. I've heard about it. So from that perspective, I can understand my coworker's perspective. But at the same, it's so weird to step into someone else's shoes, and that worldview, in a way, is so different for me. I'm like, wow, you're just closing it off. Like, you don't even want to.
It reminds me of, I feel like a while ago. I mean, we've been talking about religion fairly frequently, but it reminds me a little bit of kind of the way that religion can function as it's a set of rules, right? Like there's old, religious rules. Like for instance, like in Judaism, there's stuff about you're not supposed to eat certain kinds of meat or certain kinds of things together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You heard of that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Kosher.
Kosher stuff has to be prepared a certain way, and I don't understand it fully, but I think kosher in particular, it's about preparing things a certain way, not mixing things or something like that. And I think what it stems from is it's like a health
sanctity.
What's that?
I think sanctity maybe is part of the word, preserving the sanctity of something and not.
Well, I think that's what it is in religious terms, but I think what it practically is it's about like not mixing things or preparing things a certain way. Its effect is that it's making it safe and healthy to eat. Not like in a religious sense, but I mean in a literal not like bacteria or like sickness or diseases and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Like there's some religious, I think it's Islam, they don't eat pork. Right?
Because it's kind of icky in some way.
Yeah, well, pork is like the worst meat in terms of like carrying diseases and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So like in a way, I guess I'm making the analogy there that there's like kind of a hard fast rule that you follow that isn't like necessarily always the right thing to do, but it's a rule that like will keep you safe in a way, and like you're probably not going to miss out on anything that significant, or like you can get by without breaking the rule. You know what I mean? It's same thing with like abstinence until marriage kind of thing. It's like you can get by totally fine without that. And I could argue a lot of good reasons for that. I mean, like, yeah, anyway, I could argue like good reasons for that. So it reminds me of that.
This is an abstinence podcast.
This is a D.A.R.E podcast. Do you remember D.A.R.E? Did you have D.A.R.E?
D.A.R.E.
This is the D.A.R.E program.
Yeah,
2.0.
man. Dude, so do you think D.A.R.E is good?
Do I think D.A.R.E
Okay,
let
me tell you the framework I'm kind of thinking about. It is like, well, shit. I guess the analogy, I'm already going to use an analogy.
Perfect.
Is school shootings.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a terrible thing. I'm comparing school shootings here to how D.A.R.E talks to you about. I'm going to compare how the media shares national news about school shootings and D.A.R.E going to your school and teaching you about drugs.
Yeah.
And what I'm wondering here is if it's sort of like a shooting yourself in the foot situation, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but like, do they create the thing
right
by
you give it publicity,
promoting it?
Yeah,
like if you were to not talk about it, if you were to not go to schools and advertise marijuana, would you have less kids smoking? If you were to not on the news have all of these, reports and stuff of school shootings, would the number of school shootings actually go down? That's, I guess, the skepticism that maybe I have. Is the D.A.R.E program, in all its intents and purposes, actually just creating more potheads?
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't affect me one way or the other. I ended up smoking weed, I think, for other reasons. I don't even know why, honestly, now that I think about it. I don't even know why I started.
Probably just social. That's how most people
like
It's just so you're hanging out with people. Someone
Yeah.
offers.
Do you wanna? I don't know. Sure. Yeah. It doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah. It's cool. We're all doing it.
Yeah. They're doing it. They're fine. Doesn't seem
right.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. So that line, everyone's like they're doing it. They're fine. Is my problem with D.A.R.E. But because I think that illuminates the problem that I have with D.A.R.E. Is because D.A.R.E has, from what I remember at least, has such a black and white portrayal of drugs.
That could be it. Yeah. They do.
And I think the problem with that is
don't ever do it. Yes. And then you're like, wait, but they're fine.
Right. That's the problem. Is they say, don't ever do it. You're going to end up like this guy, and they show the worst picture of somebody, who's OD'd and they're curled up and, dying in the street. and they portray all these horror stories, and fair enough, like those exist. But the problem is, as soon as you know somebody in like the next grade up who just smokes weed and is like kind of regular, you're like, oh,
or even like smart. Like
yeah, or even like one of the smartest kids in the school. It's the valedictorian.
What am I missing here? Yeah, the valedictorian's like smoking a blunt at this party right now.
Yeah. And
What's going on?
I think that's one of those moments where like you realize Santa isn't real, and you're like, oh, this is a lie. And then I think there's a potential for throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Now, the caveat that I'll say, or to its credit, or in its defense, I don't know how D.A.R.E would do it better,
right?
Because I don't know how you tell kids a nuanced perspective about like you might do drugs and it might be okay. I don't know. I think that's a really hard line to walk, or maybe like they just risk getting themselves in trouble if they were to do that. Like if they didn't take such a hard line stance, like they risk being like, like some people do drugs and it's fine, and then it's like some kid does drugs and ODs, and it's like, how come the D.A.R.E program said it was like fine?
Maybe you present it as like just a bunch of statistics and say, look, here's what the data says. This number of people that do acid claw their eyes out, and this number of people that do acid are fine. If you think you can handle it, go for it. Because really, people don't learn a hard lesson until they've experienced it.
But I think the problem is that when you're a kid, the biggest thing you develop, after you're born is your the frontal part of your brain, your frontal lobe, which is all about inhibition and decision making and stuff like that, and long-term thinking. And when you're a kid, you get sucked into the peer pressure thing. You get sucked into, oh, I'm at the party, I want to smoke. Oh, someone's doing cocaine and they're having a good time. And if you were maybe 30 years old, you might be like, I've heard a lot about how cocaine is like really bad for you and like literally kills your brain cells when you do it. And you might, make a better decision. But when you're a kid, you just don't have that part of your brain that says like, hey, wait a second. Like, let's make this smart decision.
So here's the question then. Is D.A.R.E hitting kids at too early an age?
I don't know if you can wait, though, is the thing. Like if the alternative is to just not say anything about drugs, I don't think that's good either.
Well, at some point, it's just a matter of deciding when. I mean, you don't teach kids about drugs when they're 4.
No, but I think they start teaching kids about drugs around, I think it's 4th grade or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Is that when it was? Something like that, maybe 4th, 5th?
6th.
But I think they probably bring it up around that time, because I think that's the time when kids start using drugs. Which seems crazy, but I mean, kids start smoking it.
I mean, Tim Dillon's a great example, man, of all the good that can happen from.
I know, dude.
Doing cocaine.
They should teach
13.
about him and D.A.R.E. They should bring up a Tim Dillon episode. They should bring up Bomb Disney World.
Welcome to D.A.R.E. Here's Tim Dillon.
This is a gay podcast host. He's going to teach you about drugs.
Yes, everything he says is fine because he's gay.
And he's successful. He's fat and gay and successful. Right. And here's what you can be if you do drugs.
Hell yeah.
It's pretty appealing. He's very wealthy and he's very funny.
Right.
Yeah, that should be the new D.A.R.E program. Tim Dillon comes to your school. Dude, that would be so that'd be hilarious.
Awesome. Tim Dillon does D.A.R.E. I wonder if he has like a skit or a bit.
Yeah, he's got to have something like that. That would be so funny, dude. To be a fly on the wall and see that, it'd be so funny.
I'm doing D.A.R.E,
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to go back to like the religion thing, because I have something in one of my notes I have written down. Like 3 or 4 episodes ago, we were talking, and you were talking about your religious background, upbringing, and you just hinted at this little thing that we then skipped over that I want to go back to, and it was that. Actually, let me see how I have it written down, because I kind of have the quote that I thought was interesting.
Damn, you got it on paper.
Yeah, I printed it out because I don't want to.
Wow, dude, this is like official notes.
Oh, I like how Tim Dillon does like the
he does
the thing. I wanted to maybe be able to do that. I was gonna kind of maybe do that.
Yeah, you gotta get the mic close so everyone hears it.
Yeah. Okay. So you just hinted that something about your religious beliefs slipping away.
Okay.
And I want to know about that. When, like, if there was like a significant transition that you went through, or what there was an event, or what
Yeah.
happened. It seemed like there was something there.
There was, yeah. I maybe we didn't talk about it ever.
We haven't.
Okay, so this was in, I think, 10th grade. So up until this time, just to give some context, up until this time, I'd been, I'd been Christian. I was raised Christian. My family and I would go to church. I mean, my dad not so much, every once in a while, but like on a holiday maybe. But particularly, like, my mom would bring us to church as kids. At a certain point, I stopped being interested in it, mostly because it was just like, I didn't want to be in a room with old people, and it was just like, it wasn't my vibe.
Right.
But that wasn't
The atmosphere. Nothing to do
but that wasn't the problem. My problem with religion. It had nothing to do with that. And I didn't really have a problem with religion. So all that to say, I was religious growing up, and going to church, and I was like, I remember, what's so funny, I remember this so vividly, being on the bus going to Bosie's and having a conversation with somebody about religion, that I was religious, and kind of pitching it to him, talking about like, or making an argument for religion, right?
Okay. As a 10th grader?
This was it would have been in 10th grade, I think. Yeah, I think 10th grade.
Okay, yeah.
Because it was the first year I could go to Bosie's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so within the same year, crazy. So what happened was, this was in my 10th grade English class. We had to write an essay about something like a transformational experience, or about something like that, like some really deep, meaningful experience, something like that. And I wrote about an experience I had at this thing called Reach, which is a Christian mission trip type thing. Basically, the premise is a bunch of youth groups get together. That's not the right way to put it. Reach is an organization that organizes home repairs for people in different cities. And the way that the work gets done, it's all volunteer based, and it's a bunch of youth groups, and their leaders come to do the work. So basically envision 400 teens and adults going to sleep at the local middle school and fixing people's porches, fixing people's roofs, painting people's houses, interior, exterior, whatever, all kinds of stuff like that. It's a big volunteer thing, and it's all Christian, organized around Christianity and faith, and we have worship every night. And so at night we have program, when we have worship, and the music was playing, and we're all singing, and I wrote about this experience of being there and feeling like the presence of God wash over me. Mm-hmm. It was like this transcendental feeling of, I don't know if it was presence, or if it was just like awe or something. Like, there's something, I don't remember vividly enough to be able to explain it, but it was just, the best way I could describe it and how I remembered it was like this experience of like feeling God, like, I wish I could explain better, but so I wrote about that experience, and for whatever reason, that maybe in just trying to describe it, for as long as I can remember, I've always been very like, skeptical is the wrong word, that too, but I've been very like, I don't know, like wanting to explain, like have airtight explanations, or like reasoning and that kind of stuff. So I was trying to rationalize or think through my experience and lay it out. And for whatever reason, it got me down the track of thinking about my faith and what I believed. And so this is going to be such a long story, but from that point, I started really, really examining, in particular, my religious beliefs and things in the Bible, like what do I believe? What do I have grounds to believe? I started getting a lot into philosophy of knowledge. I think it is epistemology, I think.
Yeah.
And so I did some study on that. I listened to some debates and solo talks from people on both sides.
All of this English essay?
What's that?
All for this English
No,
essay?
not for the essay. This was just like extracurricularly. I think I wrote the essay and probably didn't do a great job, but this wasn't related to the essay. This was long after the essay.
Okay,
this
long after.
This is a multi-month. This is like an 8-month like journey that I went on.
The having to write the essay sent you on this journey.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So the essay was like
So it kind of tore you up. You like wrote it and you're just like kind of in shambles after.
I wouldn't say in shambles. I was very inquisitive. I was like,
You were disappointed with your inability to articulate the experience that you had?
No, it wasn't about the experience in particular. It was just about, I think it somehow got me on a track thinking more broadly about what I believe
Like, it's so
and why,
interesting
and if I
how-
had grounds to believe it.
I'm wondering where that, before we finish the story, I'm just kind of wondering, I'm having trouble. I think it's interesting how you felt this sure feeling, and then now you're writing about this sure feeling that you had, and somehow that throws you into a mindset of skepticism, or like you lost the stability of faith that you had as soon as you had to write about it.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I don't remember what it was. I might have the essay like in my Google Drive. I could go look at it at some point, but I don't remember what it was that got me on that track. Maybe it was just analyzing my experience of it and thinking like, what else could this experience have been or something. I don't remember what it was. This is me just like hypothesizing. I don't remember what the actual reason it got me on the train
Okay, I
was.
think that just thinking about that's kind of valid though.
But it could have been that. I don't remember. That might not have been it.
Like, what else could have caused this? It's like a sociological kind of phenomenon or something that you're like, did this maybe come from something else? And it's not just like, because just to say God maybe is, I don't know. Did you feel, maybe you felt crazy or something? Or like there must be a way to break this down chemically or sociologically?
It might have been that. I honestly don't remember. At this point, I would just be guessing. I don't actually remember. I'd have to maybe look at the essay.
Okay, so you're going through this 8 months of YouTube videos and
YouTube videos and reading and I mean doing my own thinking, writing, and at a certain point, I really what it came down to is that I just felt I didn't have grounds to believe what I did believe. And one of the central kind of like heuristics maybe or signals that I listened to was this kind of the situation where you look around the world and there's all these religions, right? And it just so happens that everyone who's born in Iran is Muslim. And it just so happens that everyone who's born in Israel is Jewish. Right. And it just so happens that everyone who's born in America is Christian, right? And
suspicious.
Yeah, right. So it's like
suspicious.
Right. So at the very least, that I think is an interesting thing to note.
Yeah.
That is definitely not proof that any of them are wrong or right.
Right.
Obviously, that's not proof. It doesn't logically follow, but I found that interesting, and so I was like, it's also interesting that I'm Christian because I was raised that way, I kind of started analyzing where does my faith
right, you
come
weren't raised
from?
Muslim.
Right.
If you were raised Muslim,
I would be Muslim probably. Right.
So
I kind of was thinking like, why do I believe what I believe? And the reason that I came to it was basically because that's what I've been taught to believe.
Which is not enough.
Which is is not. I don't think is grounds for knowledge or truth. Is that you were taught that. Like for instance, I could teach someone that the sky is red, right? And if no one ever told them differently or whatever, or I convinced them, I mean, like what do they know? It's just like I'm telling them
just
a
what
fact.
someone else told them. Right?
I'm just telling them
it's
this way
because they happen to just be here in this place at this time.
Right.
It's not a grounds for truth.
Right. It's not a grounds for truth. Yeah. So, and then even at this point, like I'll say, like that still doesn't disprove it. That still doesn't mean it still doesn't mean that Jesus didn't get nailed to the cross and die and then was raised from the dead 3 days later.
Right.
That's not proof that it didn't happen.
Right.
But what I discovered through again this 8-month process of really kind of doing an audit of my own belief is that I really didn't have grounds to believe what I believed, and so that was basically it. It just kind of slipped away.
But the thing is, like, you felt it though.
Yeah, but the thing
How do
is,
you argue with a feeling?
Well, very easily, I think, because I think feelings are not I'm gonna say that the wrong way because that could be argued against. It's not that feelings aren't reality. Feelings are not always a true signal of reality, right?
Some would argue that that's not true, and I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying some would.
Well, I mean, the feeling itself is reality,
it's
right?
Like,
but if you have a feel, let's say you have a feeling that it's gonna rain, right? Doesn't mean that it's gonna rain. You have a feeling. You can be wrong about your feeling can be a signal of something which is not the case.
There's also ways to like coerce people into feeling certain things or certain ways about certain things.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, broadly, like feelings are not a good.
So you were like coerced into like, okay, we're all here having a God experience. We're all here for God.
I don't think it was that
because we believe in God, and we're all doing this stuff. And so whatever I'm feeling right now must be God.
I wouldn't say it's coerced. I mean, I at that time, I mean, that was the context in which I was viewing it, but it wasn't coercion. It was just that was the mind view that was the worldview that I had. This was a religious thing. That was the framework.
And the vocabulary of like, this must be, this is the word to describe this
right. I mean, that makes sense. Like if you're doing a kind of like, if you believe in God and you're doing a kind of Occam's razor type thing, it's like, what's the most likely explanation of this God-like feeling in this God-like place? Is like
God.
It's probably God.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, right.
So yeah. But yeah, that was kind of the journey. And there was a time where I was much more. I think a lot of people who go from a belief in some religion, some foundational belief like that. People who go from that to not believing in it, I think sometimes swing too hard the other way.
Yeah,
I think I might have had that in some ways. I feel at this point I'm pretty. I mean, it's definitely more than back then. Definitely more open to the possibility of that stuff being true, just because I think over time I've realized how I've become even more truly agnostic. Like agnostic is this thing of now I'm going to forget what the actual
there
definition
is a larger thing. It's
no,
it's
no,
acknowledgement of something.
No, agnostic is, if I'm getting it right, I think is the state of like not. It's non-belief. We should look it up so I don't get it wrong.
Yeah, because I think that's what Brendan told.
Yeah.
Me
well, I mean, a lot of
it
people talk about
was.
agnostic with respect to religion, but it's.
You are okay. I guess this is what I am. I don't even know how much I've been talking to the mic. Now that I'm like walking around, and I don't even know how good my.
No, it's been fun. I think I've watched. You've had it close to your mouth.
Okay, to be agnostic is to be a person who believes that the existence of God is unknown and unknowable. So you're basically throwing up your hands like, I'm never going to know.
I wouldn't put a no. Is that what it says in the definition? Unknowable?
Unknowable.
Really? Well, I think that's a little bit of a stretch of the definition, at least that I use and understand. And I think
okay, here's another one. That was the AI. That was Gemini.
Oh, that's fake, dude. Gemini's fake, dude.
This is Wikipedia says agnosticism is the view or belief that the existence of God, the divine, or the supernatural is either unknowable in principle or unknown in fact.
Yeah. So I think it's basically like the state of like not knowing.
It can also mean an apathy towards such religious belief and refer to personal limitations rather than a worldview.
Yeah, I think that's more of a kind of like colloquial stretch of the definition, but yeah, I mean for me, what I'm saying is more I think than previously. Than I'm putting it in more of a state of like I just don't know. I'm very open to the possibility because man, we know so little.
Okay, so you're not saying it's not knowable. You're just admitting you don't know right now.
I wouldn't to say that it's unknowable is a claim. I don't know how you could back that up.
How could you make that? Right?
I just don't know how you could back up that claim that it's
true.
unknowable.
Yeah, you can't back it up.
I mean, maybe I'm not well versed in these arguments. Maybe there is a way you can argue that's not knowable, but I wouldn't hold that as a strong belief,
if somebody told you that they knew, would you believe them? If I came up to you and I said, I know, dude,
No.
I know the truth.
I would not believe you.
Okay, so maybe that is thinking that it's unknowable then.
Well, that's just not a good argument either. That's saying the sky is red. It's like, oh, the sky is red. It's like, oh, I believe you now. Like that's not grounds for belief.
I know the sky is red.
Yeah. Oh, now I believe you, dude. So never mind.
I know it. Dude.
Never mind. I do. I believe it now.
I know it.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm an agnostic. Okay. I'm agnostic. I don't know. I'm open to the possibility that any of this stuff could be true. I mean, in particular on religion, and this is not a unique me observation, but I do believe that there is something foundationally, because of how so many religions are unified in a lot of their foundation myths or their tropes of stories. I do believe that there is something that they're all alluding to, maybe by metaphor, by stories, parables, that we don't know in fact, but is or was the case. I just don't know what that is. Does that make sense? I don't know if I completed my thought there fully.
Yeah, that makes sense. We don't know, man.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe George Lucas will tell us. Throwback.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, maybe it's aliens, dude.
Maybe it's aliens.
Maybe it's God.
Maybe it's Joe Rogan.
Maybe it's dude, it might be Joe Rogan.
It might be Joe Rogan.
It might be God. I don't know. I just don't know. So
yeah.
So that's my religion story.
Okay.
That's my religion and then departure from religion story.
I don't know if I want to get in. I want to kind of fight my list for a little bit.
You're fighting your list. Why are you fighting your list?
Because I just like I like being surprised by. Like I already I've like done those monologues in my head a little bit already.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of bores me.
Yeah, you're gonna stumble.
I'm looking at maybe we can find something interesting on one of these pieces of paper on my floor to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Profound things. It says right there. Should we talk about profound things?
Well, that's what we were just talking about. This one says the most profound things are inexpressible. So maybe that's just kind of validating your inability to articulate the experience that you had on the Reach trip.
Yeah,
and it's saying like that's okay, dude. And maybe just because you can't describe what it is, maybe it was God. You don't need to be able to like explain it any more than that.
Well, that I mean, maybe this is too overt of a segue, but what was it you were talking about? It was a quote, your yearbook quote. What was it?
Edward
Hopper, right?
Yeah, Edward Hopper. If I could put it into words, there would be no reason to paint.
Yeah. And maybe we want to talk about painting, but
it's crazy that I did. Yeah, maybe we should a little bit. We haven't.
Everyone's listening is like, no. I'm just kidding.
It's crazy that I did that in 12th grade.
Yeah.
Because I was still kind of fighting the trajectory, or not fighting it, but I guess even at that point. So weird. Did I consider myself to be an artist at that point? Mm-hmm. I don't think I did. Art was just kind of like this. Well, I did actually kind of identify as an artist because my senior year of high school, I think really the largest thing that just pushed me away was for whatever reason, man, like, I didn't like the cafeteria.
Wait, this pushed you away from high school?
No, it pushed me towards art. So basically art is just, it wasn't necessarily a gravitation towards painting. And this is just one little, I mean, it kind of was, but in this instance, one of the things, the factors was, 7th period of high school when everybody else spent 45 minutes sitting in a crowded room, eating shitty food and throwing food at each other and, playing footsie and having like nothing conversations. I just didn't want to be a part of that for whatever reason. I enjoyed it in 7th. I remember 7th grade lunch was so much fun. 8th and 9th were like, okay. We're okay, not like okay. They were okay.
We'll edit that out.
Yeah.
We'll edit all the likes out.
But something finally shifted. Maybe it was I found a good enough reason I found something better. It's like I didn't want to be in the cafeteria, but I didn't know where else to go or that there was somewhere else to go. And then when I was a senior, I had finally found a haven as an 11th grader that, I can just go to the art room and I can just paint or hang out in the back and think about stuff or read. And once I knew that that place was available to me, I probably sat in the cafeteria for a full lunch 2 times my entire senior year. I just didn't.
Yeah.
So I guess in a maybe snarky kind of way, because it kind of felt a little bit rebellious to skip classes or skip out on the norm. Maybe this was one of my first big acts of being a nonconformist is I'm not going to sit in the cafeteria like everybody else. I'm going to be by myself in the art room.
Yeah.
And so because of those things, it maybe kind of amused me to put a quote in the yearbook that involved painting. Also because I was maybe kind of perceived as a jock, or not a total jock. I was an athlete and stuff.
Yeah.
I played sports. I was known for, I guess, maybe the sports that I played in high school. So to kind of disassociate from that, or to not associate myself with that stuff and kind of be like, you know what, painting's cooler, fuck all you guys, was maybe also something that I enjoyed. So, yeah, because then I went to architecture school and I thought I was going to have my own architecture firm, and I did all the architecture stuff after graduating from college. The whole focus, the transition to painting completely really didn't happen until 7 months after graduating from architecture school. Then my sister bought me a paintbrush for my birthday or for Christmas, and I got some canvases, and the floodgates opened.
That's cool.
Yeah. And now here we are, dude.
Yeah.
New stuff going. Bye-bye shapes.
What's that?
Bye-bye shapes.
Oh, yeah.
Bye-bye shapes. No
Yeah.
more shapes.
Yeah. Fields.
Just brush strokes. Yeah, color fields. Yeah.
Yeah.
All in the name of power.
What do you mean?
All in the name of power.
What painting is?
Maybe, I don't know. I want to transition to the 48 Laws of Power.
Oh, that was well done, dude.
Yeah, the 48 Laws of Power. I'm reading it right now.
Yeah.
Not because I want power, but because I want to defend myself against power.
I don't
I'm going to
believe
be very
you.
clear about that.
I don't believe you.
I don't want power.
I don't believe you.
I don't want to be powerful.
CIA.
I don't want to know all the different ways that I can.
Who's listening?
I don't want to.
That's funny.
Be able to manipulate people to get what I want. That's not what I'm interested in. I'm just trying to defend myself against it.
Yeah. Now people really don't know what to think.
Right. But here's the thing about that, man, is I was listening to the Rick Rubin interview of Robert Greene. Is that his name? Robert Greene, the writer of the 48 Laws of Power. And you know what's crazy, dude, is like this interview I think is 2 hours long, and an hour and 10 minutes in, Rick Rubin asks him, "So tell me about the stroke."
The stroke?
Yeah. And I thought, what? And he starts going through this story. And then I realize, I don't know how old he is now. I'm guessing 50s, 60s. After writing this book and a couple other books that totally, and they're not like tried and true fact. It's just a kind of maybe, it's a collection of historical events that lead him to a series of kind of observations and tendencies and things that tend to happen based on certain circumstances that he's kind of collecting as a potential path forward or things to observe or things to be aware of. So it's not tried and true fact, but
yeah, it's just like his take, his observations.
But
his
in
model.
a way, I think he kind of, in a very big way, lifted the veil behind a lot of the manipulative strategies of powerful leaders in the past in a way that can be analyzed and used by someone who's maybe in an abusive relationship or in these things. They can start to literally see the tactics that a manipulator or someone who's trying to gain power is using. Really kind of, and in this veil that Robert Greene lifted by writing this book, I kind of see maybe as God's veil in a way. There's this really intricate mathematical structural structure of the universe that I think everything sort of obeys as things interact. There is a certain level of predictability, I think, and we've hacked it to a certain percentage, but that percent might be like 10% or 15% hackability or predictability of the system, which is not a significant enough amount to be able to really capitalize on it.
Sure.
But this book, I think, is leaps and bounds forward in a lot of other things where all of a sudden the system becomes a lot more understandable.
Right. Yeah. The levers are known, which way to pull them is understood a little better. Yeah.
Which for God is a little bit maybe offensive. I think God kind of maybe doesn't want to be totally known, and there's a certain amount that we're allowed to know, but there's also a certain kind of and it's beautiful. The unknowing, a lot of the unknowing is kind of a beautiful thing. You're just operating in this world. You're being surprised by things. You don't want to live again in a world that you can completely predict. And the mechanisms of how everything is working should not be totally spelled out, because then that would almost be like defeating God or something. And so the interesting thing here is Robert Greene, who wrote this book, who dispelled another kind of level of the mechanisms of our world, had a stroke in his 50s, I think, that left him half paralyzed. What a horrific thing. Yeah. He's this guy who loves hiking and swimming and is a competitor and is an athlete, and now you could say God strikes him down and says, you are now half paralyzed for the rest of your life, and you have to try
so he's currently still...
He's alive and he's paralyzed.
Wait,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't like recover.
No,
well.
I don't. Wow. He can't use his left arm. He can't use his left leg.
Wow, dude.
Right, they're just like there. He can use his right arm, so he can write.
Right,
which is another beautiful kind of elegant thing here.
Yeah.
He can still put pen to paper.
Yeah,
he can't type really.
It's a little bit of a warning, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like it's so crazy that like
it's interesting.
Here's God saying, okay, you dispel some of the magic of my world. Fuck you, dude. Now you can't use your left leg and you can't use your left arm. Deal with it. You lost things that you love because you spent time trying to uncover the beauty and the elegance of the mechanisms of the world that I've designed.
Yeah.
That's the perspective that as I'm listening to it, these are the kind of thoughts that I'm having about this.
Yeah. I'll say it's a little superstitious for me, but I do believe in this idea of having too much knowledge. And there's probably parables about this. I mean, this is not a parable, but from the really bad Indiana Jones movie. Have you seen the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? You don't watch movies. Okay. Anyone who's seen it knows that it's not good. But at the end of the movie, there's this like Ukrainian scientist who's like kind of they're chasing the origin of this crystal skull, right? And there's this Ukrainian scientist that's like he's kind of spearheading the operation. She's like forcing Indiana Jones and his comrades, whatever, to like find it for her. And so she finally find it, and they put the skull in this place, and it makes these aliens come to life in this, spaceship thing. And she's like, I want to know everything. I want to know everything. She keeps saying it over and over. And it looks into her eyes, and she's like, I want to know everything. And then her like head catches on fire or something and explodes or something like that.
Whoa, yeah.
That's a modern day parable for too much knowledge.
Yeah.
But I think in reality, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, actually. As we gain more knowledge of the levers we're supposed to pull, right, or the levers that exist, right, and maybe even how we should pull them, what we start to have is this ever-growing control room that we're supposed to manage, and we're unable to do it. We're not built to be able to understand, for instance, like all of the micro things of nutrition, for instance. Like we have such and nutrition is, a lot of people would argue, is a really kind of not well backed up or defined field, you know?
Right.
And maybe it's a bad example, but you know, we have this idea of how we should be eating, right? And so we're constantly stressed out and thinking about how we should be, how many macros, how much protein we should be eating, how many carbs we should be eating. We're trying to optimize all this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, you could think about this in terms of, the one that I always think about for whatever reason is when you're pregnant, and there's all kinds of things around pregnancy about, you know, things you shouldn't do, things you should do, right? Obviously you shouldn't smoke, and you shouldn't do a bunch of drugs or drink alcohol. You know, you should, I don't know, I'm not a pregnant expert, but you know, you should do certain things and not do other things.
The Pregnancy Expert Podcast.
Yeah, this is the Pregnancy Expert Podcast. Like there's all kinds of things you should and shouldn't do, and as nice as it is to have the knowledge of that, so that you can prevent yourself from making the mistakes that you might otherwise, you know, or you know, do the right things so that your baby might come out healthier and have a better life. You're faced with all of these decisions and things you have to manage and keep track of that.
Right.
You're just fundamentally not built to be able to do. Like you only have so much capacity. And I think increasingly on the individual level, on the societal level, that causes huge problems because everyone's stressed out, everyone's anxious, everyone's worried about, am I doing this right?
The consequences of every little action event.
Yeah. And so on the individual level, that's a huge problem because you're stressed out, anxious, you know, you feel like you're doing something wrong, you're not optimizing.
Yeah.
And you know, to some extent, I think this is maybe a more Western problem. I think a lot of, the Eastern world has some of this stuff figured out, more kind of like Taoist kind of stuff. But there's one more point I want to make. What was it? But yeah, and so that's on the individual level, it's problematic. But then on the societal level, what do you get when you have a populace that's made up of a populace that's a bunch of stressed out, anxious, worried about, am I doing this the right way? You know, kind of people. It's like you get a bunch of problems also. So it's, you know, knowledge is, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You know, you gotta, there's gotta be some quaint kind of quote for it, but yeah, be careful of knowing too much or something. I don't know.
You just proved one of the truisms on the floor
of Janny Holzer.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, dude.
This one says knowledge should be advanced at all costs.
Should be advanced at all costs.
Knowledge should be advanced.
You're saying I'm proving that true?
I think you're proving it wrong.
Okay,
I think that you're saying that knowledge should not be advanced at all costs, and it's dangerous to try to advance knowledge at all costs, and there should be a certain level of, you should be sort of content with your lack of knowledge because you need to realize that there's a benefit. Mm-hmm. There are benefits. I mean, hypochondriacs are a great example of why it sucks to be. I mean, this is why I don't have an Apple Watch that's telling me, oh, you slept for 5.5 hours last night. You're going to feel like shit today. I don't need to know that. What am I just going to be more stressed about the lack of sleep that I got last night?
Exactly.
Or how my heart is beating too hard right now? Now my heart's going to be even harder. Now I'm going to die even sooner. I don't need to know that.
Right.
I don't want to know, dude. The Apple Watch analytics piss me off so much.
Uh-huh.
I think it's the dumbest thing. God, it infuriates me.
But I think people like the game, and you know,
it's like that's what it is. It's a game, dude.
And also people, there's studies on this of like people like a mild amount of stress. You know, I mean, a mild amount of stress is good for you. Yeah. But you know, it's the gamification kind of thing of you have some kind of, especially when stuff's very clearly defined, right? You know, you have these, you know, your rings, whatever that means, on your Apple Watch, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like they're very well defined, and you have a certain goal you got to hit, which is a number, and
then
you
it
can
turns
see your
green,
progress.
and that means I'm good.
It turns green, and it's good, and green, it means you're healthy.
Yes, I win.
And people like that, dude.
I win.
People like that. And people need to feel like they're winning. That's important. But I think I don't know. I think it's too much of a good thing can be too much of a good thing. You know, it's kind of that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's good to have knowledge, but like you get too much and it kind of like you get perverted about it and you start like becoming pathological about your health or something, or you become, you know,
That's the danger. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you narrow in your focus on one thing at the expense of like the rest of you, you know,
Right.
which you shouldn't do that.
That's what sucks about getting older. I
What
think
do you
as you
mean?
get older, you just kind of become more aware of the implications of everything. Oh, if I do this, this will happen. If I do that, that'll happen. Not implications, consequences. You become aware of the consequences of
You think
things.
so? Yeah,
And then it
and
makes you more aware of, I mean, an example, like I don't get blackout drunk anymore. You know, I got blackout drunk a few times.
You said that there's something that sucks about getting older. Because that seems like it's a good thing that you wouldn't get blackout drunk anymore.
Yeah, that
I
is
want
a
to know
good
about the suck because that struck me as
well, maybe
I
it
don't know if I
prevents you
feel
from
that
like
same
going
way.
out and having a good time and making some memories before you
Yeah.
black out. You know, maybe you like go do some things and now I'm just like, I don't want to be tired
But does that
tomorrow.
suck? Does that suck though? It depends
it's
on
just
your
different.
time preference, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another one that
Something's got to suck. I want to hear what sucks about getting older and that you don't do the same.
sucks about getting older.
You know the consequences.
I don't know, knowing how. Oh, I mean, when I was in college, we had at Virginia Tech, we had a Chick-fil-A on campus, and the Chick-fil-A that we had sells milkshakes.
Uh-huh.
And I had a lot of milkshakes. I had a lot of milkshakes. Peach milk, the peach, dude, a peach milkshake.
I've never heard of that.
What the hell,
That sounds
man?
pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I had a fair amount of milkshakes. I'm now sounding like a person who has milkshakes everyone's like he had to drink a milkshake every day.
Yeah,
I didn't. I mean, I had maybe like one every 2 weeks. So it wasn't crazy.
Oh, bro,
but,
that's
I
not
mean,
that many milkshakes.
Right, I wasn't going crazy, but
Okay,
by my
right.
standards, I was having a decent number. And I was going with a friend one time to get a milkshake, and she said, the interesting thing about a milkshake is I always want one, and then after I have one, I never feel better than I did before I had it. You always feel worse after you have the milkshake.
Veil lifted. You can
And
never
so
go back moment.
Now when I get the idea of a milkshake, I think about how bad or how I'm like, I'm not going to feel better after it.
Right.
And maybe this isn't even proving your thing because maybe that's a good thing to learn.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Fuck. Okay. I got to think of one. Sucks about getting older. What sucks to know? That time moves fast.
Yes.
So you have to hold on to it. Oh, we're going to get into this, dude. It's like,
Yeah.
I think that you've been having trouble with, and my mom has trouble with, and I have trouble with, and everybody has trouble with trying to hold on to time because it's always slipping away and it's always moving, and you just want to remember it and be in it and experience it. And I think back to a lot of the vivid memories that I have are actually of moments where I wasn't trying to squeeze.
Yeah.
I don't think I was trying to squeeze. I was just being.
Yeah.
And I wasn't aware really that I was making a memory.
Right.
I wasn't trying to make a memory.
Yeah. Right.
So I think maybe the problem is, I think this is a bad thing about getting older, is you start trying to make memories and cultivate these this is a problem with the 9-to-5 life that we're living. This goes back a few conversations ago when you're like, when are you living? Oh, okay. I work a 9-to-5 job. I save my money. I go on vacation. Here we are on vacation. Let's make memories now.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. That's way too scripted.
Yeah.
So maybe you start scripting as you get older. When you're a kid, you have a whole abundance of life ahead of you. You're not thinking about, am I living right now? Am I making a memory right now? No, none of that.
Yeah, there's really no awareness of time.
There's no awareness of time. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The awareness of God. I think about when I was playing in my playroom when I was a kid. There was no awareness of time.
Yeah,
and it
at
was
least.
beautiful.
I mean, there's bedtime.
There's bedtime. There's
Go
Christmas.
to school, but yeah.
There's
Right. There's
summer.
holidays. Yeah, but there's not there's not like a year to year like your life is ending.
No.
Like your life is slowly ending. You don't think about that when you're
Where am I going to be next Christmas?
a kid. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. It's like everything is short term time. Yeah, you don't really consider the long-term time, which you definitely get when you're older. And yeah, I think probably a lot of people do get anxious about that. You know, you feel time slipping away. And I mean, I'll admit I definitely have those moments, but I don't know. I don't know. Where are you at with that stuff?
No, I want to hear about you.
Stuff?
No, you were the one that was writing about time slipping away.
I was.
And trying to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Why do you're 26, 27. Why do you need to hold on to time, dude? You're young, bro. You're young.
I am.
Why do you have to hold on to it?
Why do I have to hold on?
Why do you want to magnify every crumb and live in it for 1,000 years? Why do you want to just squeeze so much out of
dude,
it?
it's I don't know. I mean, different times I feel it differently. You know, sometimes I'm.
Do you want to read that thing that you wrote? Because I'm referencing it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I'm so bad at reading out loud. Are you good at reading out loud? Because I would have you read it.
I think you texted it to me.
I did text it to you because I'll read it out loud and like totally muff it, and then everyone's gonna be like, "Cam doesn't know how to read."
Okay.
And, well, I mean, they'll be right, but I don't want them to know that I can't read.
Okay. We'll keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Nobody heard you say that.
No, we'll edit this part out.
Okay. How much? I remember back before we used to
I could
text
also
a lot, and I could just go back. And
yeah.
Yeah. Can you pull it up?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. Yeah. Where's my phone? Okay. September 1st, 2025. I just feel like I can't even grab onto this all hard enough. Or maybe it's not about grabbing onto it hard. Maybe it's just about soaking it in. Whatever it is, I just want to get every crumb. Every last bit of life I want to hold and remember and cherish and be able to exist there forever. Every detail I want to inspect for 1,000 years. I guess maybe that would be overkill, but when I really feel time is slipping by, I'd take anything for 1,000 years, just to stop time from slipping away so fiercely. I'd look at the lamp in my room and remember the girl I got it from and wonder about her dad and what he must have been like. I'd think about my feelings for her. I'd ponder the feelings about my feelings. I'd spend an evening, try to sort it all out, and then spend a lifetime more trying to sort it out still, living out the what-ifs in my mind, trying to figure out what's right or whether it even matters, and thinking about all the things that the lamp reminds me of, the patterns on the shade, the shape of the body, how it's angular. Maybe I'd figure out why I like it so much. I'd love to discover the things I didn't know I could appreciate. I could find the satisfaction in the spacing of a piece of a utility knife. I could look at a pencil and ponder the decision of the person who designed the little clip that is supposed to hang from your shirt pocket. I could wonder about why they put those 3 holes. I could appreciate them. I could just hold the pencil, feel it in my hand. Just feel something in my hand for 1,000 years. And I want to be there every second, as if it's the last thing I'll ever experience. I want to know every detail of the richness of life. I think maybe more than anything, I just want to remember it and be able to relive it. Maybe something like that.